Hi, this is Nahid Kazaza, and I'd like to welcome you to our Quick and Easy Resume and Cover Letter series. This is the second video in a 5-video series. And if you saw the first video, one of the things that I did in that video was show you our basic template that only has 6 sections. It makes it really, really easy. In the second video, what I'm going to do is go through our first 3 sections: the heading, the objective, and the summary of skills and qualifications. So the heading is pretty basic. It's just your contact information at the top of the resume. You can do it any way you want. I have 3 examples here on the screen, and all of them are perfectly appropriate. The only thing you might want to keep in mind for your header is that you for sure should have an email address and a phone number, because those are most likely the way people will contact you. An address could be optional, and the reason I say that is because if you are applying to a job that is close to your address, it could give you an edge to have your address on there. And the reason is because when people glance at your resume and see your address, they'll immediately register how far away you are. And they will either think, wow, this person's really close, it won't take them long to get to work, that would be great. Or they might think, wow, this person's far away, they have a really long commute. Or they're out of state, we'll have to pay to have this person come out and interview. So your address can give you an edge or not, sort of depending on the company that you're applying to. But again, that's completely optional. But let's go to the next 2 sections, the objective and the summary of skills. So the objective, probably objective isn't the best name for this section because people tend to think of a work objective as this sentence. You know, my objective is to work for a company that's contributing and to use my skills, and write a little paragraph like that which says nothing. What I would like you to think about is think of the word objective as if I'm using the word title, that it's the title of the resume. It's the first couple of words that people will see on your resume other than your name that says who you are and what you do. And people are going to use those first couple of words to categorize you. So what you want to imagine is that a recruiter has a big stack of resumes and they're thinking, oh, I have to hire a systems engineer. So they're going to be going through the resumes really quickly, and they're going to be looking for resumes that look something like systems engineer. So the ones that have the word systems engineer at the top are going to automatically be pulled out. For your objective, you're going to want to use the general area that you work and only a couple of words. So if you'll see these examples, we have marketing manager here. Now this person has a few smaller bullets underneath that elaborate a little bit more on their specific skills because marketing is so general, but it's okay to have something fairly general up here. IT business development and project manager. So that's a little bit more specific, but again, it's only a few words. It jumps right out at you. Very, very easy to see. Nice big font here. And you'll see here in my basic category template, I have category 1, category 2. I say pick a couple of categories because people will categorize you whether you want them to or not. You may think, well, there's so much more to me than just thinking of myself as, for example, I'm a coach. There's so much more to me. If I just say I'm a coach, how do I differentiate myself from other coaches? In your objective section, you're not worried about differentiating yourself. You're worried about telling people what general category you belong to. Then they'll pull you out if they're working on a job that's anywhere near that general category. And then as they look at your resume in more detail, they'll either rule you in or out for further review. Think about the resume review process as starting with a big stack of maybe 50 to 100 resumes, and the recruiter's pulling maybe 10, 20, 30 of them out, and then they're looking at that stack of 30 resumes and they're scanning them really quickly and they're pulling out maybe 10 to read, and then in the third cycle they're actually perhaps reading them. So your resume doesn't actually get read until the 3rd or 4th cycle. It's getting glanced at. So what we want to make sure is that what they're glancing at is going to get you pulled out of the stack. And the first thing they're going to glance at is your objective or the title of your resume. Okay? So you want to give them a place to categorize you. Now let's look at the next section that I call Summary of Skills or Qualifications. Now this is kind of a fun section because you can actually change it depending on the job you're applying for. And this is probably the only place in your resume where you have a lot of leeway. You can claim anything you want to about yourself. Now, hopefully it's true, but this is where you get to really say, what are my strengths? And say, these are my strengths. So, for example, in this example, we have experienced business development manager with proven ability to take advantage of new market opportunities, efficiently manage costs, and obtain a high return on investment. Skilled at, and we have 6 bullets here: identifying untapped opportunities, communicating vision, developing key clients, assessing cost of entry, training and implementation, leading interdepartmental teams. So again, this isn't too specific, but it's specific enough so it starts to hone you in. Deciding what you're going to put in this section can be an ongoing process. You can try different things with different resumes. Ideally, you're going to have your resume in a Word document, and you have a main version of it, and then you'll have various different versions of it that you can play with. And this is the area that you can play with the most. I guess the most important thing I want to say is, again, people don't read paragraphs, so their eyes are going to go immediately to these bullets that you have. So it's really important, and again, I'm going to go back to the template here. Notice that I have Summary of Qualifications, and I just have 6 bullets here. I don't even have any writing on this template. So some people will choose to write something and then have 6 bullets underneath it. Some people will just have bullets underneath it. It's completely up to you, but if you do choose to write something, only write a couple of sentences at most, because as soon as you write more than 2 sentences, it's going to look like a paragraph, and it's going to look like work to read, and nobody is reading at that stage. They're still scanning and filtering out. So that's your heading, your objective, and your summary of skills. In the next video, we're going to dive into your work history.